Welcome back. Here's a quick recap. Raon stood alone before a horde of monsters, twin swords gripped tightly in his bloodied hands. With fierce resolve, he declared, "Before I fall, not a single one will get past me." Then he charged. He kept slashing, again and again, driven by sheer will. His hands were a shredded mess, skin torn, soaked in his own blood and the blood of the monsters he felled. But he didn't stop. He couldn't. Every ounce of aura he had left poured into each strike. His world narrowed to one thing, the endless crimson of monster blood. Behind him, a mountain of corpses rose, his silent testament. Time blurred. Beneath a blood-soaked sky, the moon slowly began to wane. By the time the first light of dawn pierced the horizon, Raon stood trembling at the base of the walls. He scanned the battlefield. No monsters remained. The silence was deafening. With a distant, sorrowful look, Raon gazed over the carnage. A lone warrior, standing at the end of a nightmare. If you're new here or just need a refresher, I highly recommend checking out the previous part before diving into this exciting chapter. Now that we're all caught up, let's dive into the next scene. What's waiting for us beyond the bloodstained dawn? Meanwhile, a lady's eyes gleamed with intrigue as she gazed at Raon's face in her crystal ball. A sly smile spread across her face as she thought to herself, "Hoo-hoo, Raon zieghardt." Her thoughts drifted back to her original objective, the destruction of Haben Castle and the acquisition of the incarnated body. Her long nails clicked softly as she placed her hand on her face, her mind whirling with calculations and schemes. The lady's masked face gleamed with an otherworldly intensity as she gazed at Raon's visage in the crystal ball. The hood that shrouded her head seemed to absorb the light around her, making her eyes sparkle like stars in the darkness. Her smile grew wider, a cold, calculated smile that hinted at secrets and schemes. "But I've gotten an unexpected harvest," she murmured, her voice barely audible. The crystal ball seemed to glow with an eerie light, illuminating the shadows on her masked face. As she contemplated the possibilities that Raon's presence presented, the scene shifted in Haben Castle in a room. Raon's eyes fluttered open, and he was met with an unfamiliar feeling. He sat up with a start, his mind foggy from the sudden wakefulness. As he looked around, he took in the opulent decor of the room, the lavish furnishings, and the large window that let in a flood of sunlight. His gaze lingered on the unfamiliar surroundings, and a hint of confusion creased his brow. Raon's eyes narrowed as he replayed the events in his mind. The castle walls came down, and I was hanging in there until the cave was open, he thought to himself, his brow furrowed in concentration, trying to recall what happened. Suddenly, a voice interrupted his thoughts. "Raon?" His eyes widening in surprise as he took in the person standing before him. As Yua stood before him, Raon's gaze locked onto her face, and he began to speak. "You're..." But his words faltered as he took in the tears welling up in her eyes. Yua's voice trembled with emotion as she spoke. "You've finally woken up." Some time later, Dorian visited Raon, his expression serious and eyes heavy with concern. "Seriously, we were so worried because you weren't waking up at all. You showed no reaction for 3 whole days, no matter what we did, so we really thought you might die." Raon's eyes widened in surprise as he listened, and he felt a pang of guilt for causing his friends such concern. "Sorry for causing you guys to worry," Raon said, his voice filled with sincerity. He looked at Dorian with gratitude. "And thanks for taking care of me, Dorian." His words were laced with appreciation, and he meant every syllable. Dorian's calm demeanor was unwavering as he spoke, his voice measured and gentle. "The one you should be thanking isn't me," he said, his words punctuated by a hint of a smile, "but Yua." Raon's eyes snapped towards Dorian, surprise etched on his face. Dorian's words painted a vivid picture. "Yua stayed by your side and nursed you every day until the wave ended." Raon's eyes widened in surprise, imagining Yua's dedication and care, while Yua worked tirelessly in the kitchen. Dorian's expression turned thoughtful. "She was really worried about you." His words conveyed the depth of Yua's concern, and Raon's heart swelled with emotion. Dorian continued, "She also has to work for the tavern, so she must have been really busy though." As Raon and Dorian continued talking, the door creaked open and Yua stepped inside, carrying a steaming bowl of soup. Her voice was like music. "Raon, I made some soup." Raon and Dorian turned to look at her, their eyes drawn to the warm smile on her face. Yua continued, "You're still recovering, so I made the ingredients soft and easy to eat." Her thoughtfulness was evident in the care she had taken to prepare the soup. "Eat slowly, because it's still hot," Yua cautioned, as she placed the bowl on the table beside Raon's bed. Raon's gaze followed the bowl, and his eyes landed on the soup, the aroma wafting up to tease his senses. As Yua began to leave the room, Raon's voice called out to her, "Yua." Yua stopped in her tracks, her momentary pause a testament to her surprise. She turned back to Raon, a questioning expression on her face, and spoke softly, "Yes." Her eyes locked onto Raon's, filled with a mix of curiosity and expectation, awaiting the reason behind his sudden call. Raon's smile grew wider as he spoke. "Thank you for coming every day to take care of me." But instead of a heartfelt response, Yua's voice was filled with a playful tone. "Oh come on, follow-up care for regulars is basic business etiquette." Her words were laced with a light-hearted humor, and Raon's smile faltered for a moment before he chuckled. Yua continued, her voice filled with a joyful tease, "When you're fully recovered, be sure to drop by the tavern and help boost sales, okay?" Her eyes sparkled with amusement, and Raon couldn't help but laugh at her cheeky remark. Raon's eyes lit up with excitement as he suggested, "Speaking of which, how about we eat at Branch of Frost tonight? I've been eating bland stuff for so long, I'm really craving something greasy." His words hung in the air, and Yua's expression transformed from playful to intrigued. Dorian's words cut in, but first, you need to show everyone that you're safe and sound." Raon's eyes snapped towards Dorian, surprise etched on his face as he asked, "Show them? Who's them?" His voice trailed off, curiosity piqued, and he looked at Dorian expectantly, waiting for an explanation. As Raon finished dressing up, Dorian opened the door and gestured for him to follow. "The people waiting for you, of course," he said, his tone casual, but Raon's face paled as he processed Dorian's words. "Why are you making such a big deal about this?" He trailed off, his voice laced with unease. As Raon stepped out, a person shouted, "The hero of Haben Castle has awakened." Raon's eyes widened in shock and surprise as he took in the sea of faces gathered in front of his room. The crowd's cheers and applause were deafening, and Raon's gaze darted from one person to another, unsure of what to make of the commotion. One of the group members spoke up, "You're finally awake. Raon, thanks to you, the Haben Castle was protected." The crowd erupted in cheers and applause again, and Raon's face turned bright red with embarrassment. Another person chimed in, "I was so worried when I heard you might not wake up." A chorus of agreement followed, with some people sharing their own stories of concern and relief. A soldier stepped forward, his voice filled with gratitude, "Raon, thank you for saving my comrades." Another person shouted, "When you leapt in like that, I thought you were insane, but you were really awesome." Another person shouted, "Drinks are on me tonight." The crowd cheered and chanted, with some people clapping and whistling. Another person chimed in, "I'll never forget this debt of gratitude." The atmosphere was electric, with everyone seemingly eager to celebrate Raon's awakening. Just as the soldier was speaking, Commander Milan joined the group, his face etched with concern. "I'm glad you're safe, Raon," he said, his voice sincere. Raon's eyes widened as he saw Milan, and he spoke up in worry, "Commander Milan." Milan's expression turned somber as he continued, "This wave was unlike any that had been seen before. It happened earlier than expected, and the scale was much larger than usual." His voice was filled with a mix of awe and gratitude. "Normally, we would have seen a high number of casualties. But you didn't hesitate and jumped off the wall without a second thought." Milan's eyes locked onto Raon's, his gaze intense as he recalled the moment. "Thanks to the determination and bravery you showed there wasn't a single casualty in this wave. It's all because you stood at the front and protected us." Milan's words were filled with sincerity, and the crowd's murmurs of agreement and appreciation filled the air. Milan's expression was solemn as he placed his hand on his chest, his voice filled with genuine gratitude. "You came here as a mercenary, but we are all deeply indebted to you." His words hung in the air, and the crowd's murmurs of agreement and appreciation grew louder. Milan continued, his voice sincere, "On behalf of Haben Castle, I offer you our sincerest thanks." Suddenly, Tyrion spoke up, "And Ediquel also has something he wants to say to you." Raon's eyes widened in surprise as he processed Tyrion's words, and he thought to himself, "Ediquel has something to say to me?" A mix of curiosity and wariness crossed his face, and he wondered what Ediquel could possibly want to say to him. Ediquel's voice was laced with guilt as he spoke, "Raon, I've been wrong about you this whole time." Raon's eyes locked onto Ediquel, his expression a mix of shock and surprise. He couldn't believe what he was hearing, and his gaze searched Ediquel's face for any sign of insincerity. Ediquel continued, his words pouring out like a confession, "I thought you were just a rookie mercenary, so, even when I saw your skill, I looked down on you." His voice was tinged with regret, and his eyes seemed to hold a deep apology. Ediquel's words were laced with a deep sense of admiration and respect as he spoke, "But the way you jumped down the wall to protect our comrades, that was the very image of a true swordsman." His voice was filled with conviction, and his eyes shone with a newfound appreciation for Raon's actions. As he continued, his fist clenched tightly, It was the noble, resilient ideal of the swordsman we all strive to become. The crowd watched in stunned silence as Edequil's demeanor transformed from one of guilt to reverence. And then, in a shocking display of humility, Edequil bowed down, his voice filled with sincerity. "I sincerely apologize for how I've acted until now." Commander Milan's voice boomed out, "You've worked hard holding back the wave. To celebrate this unprecedented achievement, we'll hold a festival. We'll provide food and drink at Branch of Frost, and for 3 days, you may eat, drink, and enjoy yourselves to your heart's content." The crowd erupted in cheers and applause, with soldiers and guards alike grinning from ear to ear. One of the soldiers spoke up, his voice filled with joy. "Commander, when did you prepare all this?" Another soldier chimed in, laughing, "Ha ha ha, this is the first time something like this has happened since I came to Haben Castle." The crowd's laughter and chatter filled the air, with everyone excitedly discussing the upcoming festival. One of the soldiers shouted with joy, "Come on, everyone, let's go to the Branch of Frost." The soldiers began to run towards the tavern, their laughter and shouts filling the air. As they ran, one of them exclaimed, "For the next 3 days, drink like you've died and come back to life." Their enthusiasm was infectious, and the scene was chaotic with excitement. One member, who hadn't run with the others, called out, "Wait for me, where do you think you're going without us?" His voice was laced with mock annoyance, but a smile played on his lips. Raon watched the soldiers' joyful departure, a smile spreading across his face. He gazed after them, looking at their retreating backs without saying a word, his expression soft and contemplative. Milan turned to Raon, a hint of a smile on his face. "Raon, you should go along too. I'll catch up after a meeting with the officers." He then turned to the officers, his voice taking on a more authoritative tone. "Deputy Commander and Corps leaders, follow me." The officers, including Tyrion, Beto, and Edequil, exchanged surprised glances, their eyes flicking to Milan with a mix of curiosity and expectation. Dorian hurried up to Raon, a grin spreading across his face. "Young master, what are you doing? We need to grab a seat and start partying too." His eyes sparkled with excitement, and he gestured enthusiastically towards the Branch of Frost. Raon looked at Dorian, a hint of amusement dancing in his eyes. Meanwhile, inside Commander Milan's office, Milan's expression was serious as he spoke to the officers. "You're not planning to just shower Raon with praise and be done with it, are you?" His tone implied that more substantial recognition was needed. Vice Commander Tyrion nodded in agreement. "Of course not. We need to grant him the greatest reward and appropriate compensation. Raon saved countless lives." The other officers murmured in agreement, their faces reflecting their gratitude and admiration for Raon's bravery. Milan's words hung in the air. I'm thinking of giving him something more valuable than gold." The officers looked at him in surprise, their eyebrows raised in curiosity. Tyrion's voice was laced with skepticism. "Something that's more valuable?" Milan's expression was resolute. "I plan to give him the Haben Castle's artifact." The officers' eyes widened in shock, their faces pale with astonishment. The room fell silent, with the weight of Milan's words sinking in. Raiden's voice trembled with shock. "Are you really giving him the Snowhorn sword, the symbol of the castle?" Tyrion's eyes widened in incredulity. "Don't tell me you're planning to name Raon the next Lord of Haben Castle." Milan's expression turned stern. "Don't be ridiculous, that sword is a symbol, not an artifact. Raon will be receiving something else." Raiden let out a relieved chuckle. Milan revealed a box, his voice filled with significance. "What I plan to give Raon is this." Tyrion's eyes widened in surprise. "This is..." Before he could finish, Milan confirmed, "Yes, armor made from the mana stone of the Orc Lord. It's called the White Soul Armor." As Milan opened the box, the officers gasped in awe, beholding the breathtaking armor. The White Soul Armor shone with an ethereal glow, its intricate design seeming to pulse with an inner light. Milan's voice was filled with conviction as he continued, "It's said to be more valuable than the Snowhorn sword, the castle's symbol. But when you think of what Raon's done, this is the least we can offer." His eyes shone with a deep sense of gratitude and admiration for Raon's bravery. Milan's tone turned solemn. He risked himself to save others. "I'll only feel at ease if I can at least protect him with this." The officers nodded in agreement, their faces reflecting their understanding of Milan's words. Raiden's face lit up with enthusiasm. "I agree. This will be the perfect gift." Tyrion nodded thoughtfully. Considering how many lives Raon saved, nothing would truly be enough. Edequil's voice cut through the conversation. "Commander, I have a question." Tyrion turned to Edequil in surprise, his eyebrows raised slightly. Milan nodded. "Go ahead, Edequil." Edequil's calm voice asked, "Raon is not just an ordinary mercenary, is he?" The room fell silent, with the officers exchanging shocked glances. Commander Milan's expression turned speechless, his eyes locking onto Ediquil's with a mixture of surprise and wariness. Ediquil's eyes seemed to bore into Milan's, his voice steady as he continued, after remembering Raon's martial arts. The martial art he used wasn't something simple. No matter how talented, a mere mercenary couldn't reach that level. Ediquil's expression turned thoughtful. I've known he wasn't just a regular mercenary for a while now, but I think it's time you told us the truth. The weight of Ediquil's words hung in the air, implying that Raon's abilities and background were more complex than they initially seemed. Commander Milan spoke in seriousness. I'm sorry, but there are still reasons that I can't tell you everything. His expression turned solemn, but I promise you this. His words trailed off as his attention seemed to shift, his gaze focusing on something beyond the room. Meanwhile, Raon and Dorian reached the branch of frost, where Yua was waiting for them. Milan's thoughts seemed to follow them, a hint of warmth in his voice as he continued. That child has always been sincere with us here. His words conveyed a deep sense of trust and appreciation for Raon, leaving the officers with more questions than answers about Raon's mysterious background. Commander Milan's gaze swept across the officers, his expression calm and reassuring. One day, the time will come when he reveals his true identity on his own. He's not someone tainted by darkness, so you don't need to worry. His words seemed to put the officers at ease, and he concluded, so for now, let's enjoy the festival. Meanwhile, inside the branch of frost, the atmosphere was lively and joyful. The soldiers chatted and laughed, drinking beer from wooden mugs alongside Raon. One of the soldiers, with a mug raised high, announced, "Let's celebrate the birth of a hero." The other soldiers cheered in agreement, their faces flushed with excitement and camaraderie. Raon's face lit up with a warm smile as he joined in the celebration, the festive atmosphere infectious and joyful. Friends, this chapter comes to an end. To everyone watching, thank you for joining us on this adventure. If you're excited to see what happens next, let me know in the comments, ask for more chapters, and I'll keep them coming. If you'd like to support the channel and be part of our family, consider joining as a member. Don't forget to like and subscribe to help grow this community. Until next time, stay tuned.